Kurt Busch, Newman, looks like all of them with 4 tire stops.
And according to what we have here, Harvick did not change tires to go +5. I have a hard time believing they didn't change tires, though. They had no tires changed on the Fox broadcast, but I think you got to have them.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll come back and recap some more pit stops and get ready to drop the green flag here again at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Hear from the drivers and personalities of grassroots racing each week on PRN's At the Track. We cover the short tracks, dirt tracks, legends, and kart racing from the World of Outlaws, Lucas Oil Series, All-Star Circuit of Champions, USAC, Cars Tour, Pass, Ultimate Super Late Model Series, Fast Track, Neesmith, Power Eye, and more. That's PRN's At the Track every week on broadcast radio, the free PRN app, and iTunes.
It's Kathy Martindale and Paul Shad on ZMAX Racing Country Classics.
I go back a long time listening to Charlie Pride.
I grew up in Sledge, Mississippi, right below Memphis. I started singing in clubs, and Red Savine and Red Foley came there for a show, and they said, "You like to do some songs on the show?" I said, "Yeah," so I did.
Tons of country music this weekend on Racing Country Classics.
ZMAX Racing Country Classics.
Welcome back to the Folds of Honor Quiktrip 500 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It was 38 years ago that hostages were held in Iran for 444 days. We are honored to have with us Rocky Sickman, who was one of those hostages and now is very involved with the Folds of Honor project. First of all, we're so proud to have you here. We're kind of humbled by this. And two, what brought you to the Folds of Honor, Rocky?
Well, Doug, it's just an honor to be here. Obviously, I have a second chance in life because, like you said, 444 days. First 30 days I was tied, not allowed to speak, and the next 400 days locked in a room about the size of your room right here. We went outside 7 times out of 444 days. But I had no idea that 8 people lost their life in an attempted rescue operation. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, when the helicopters went down in the desert.
Yeah. It wasn't until I came home in 1981 that I realized that 8 people lost their life on what that flag represents, and it's freedom. And so with that, I met Major Rooney and had the opportunity to retire from Budweiser and come to work for Folds of Honor. And here we are continuing to salute, because Folds of Honor is an organization that provides scholarships to families of fallen and disabled. So Quiktrip is giving us millions of listeners through the PRN to listen and hear our story, and it's just an honor because I will never forget those 8 guys.
And Folds of Honor does a lot to help veterans, disabled, and their families.
Incredible. Since 2007, 20,000 scholarships. Last year alone, 4,000. So with the help of Quiktrip, basically spreading our message, we're getting people constantly sending in donations.
I was working at a little radio station in Salisbury, North Carolina. We had the UPI teletype is how we got the news. I vividly remember Reagan inaugurated, Reagan wins, and then 20 minutes later, the news came over that the hostages were freed. I still have that teletype paper at home somewhere. Rocky, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Doug.
We're really
Appreciate
honored.
it.
We're getting set to go back to racing again. Remember, stage number 1 in this race is going to take place at lap 85. We're about to complete lap 40 when we get going back to green. Kyle Larson is your leader. He is the inside of row 1. To his outside, Eric Almirola. Kevin Harvick 3rd. Denny Hamlin 4th. 5th, Kyle Busch. The rest of the top 10, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, and Clint Boyer. As they flash through the Geico restart zone, it's Kyle Larson with the jump in that preferred inside lane. Right behind him, Kevin Harvick. To Kevin Harvick's right, teammate Eric Almirola.
Larson had slipped past Stenhouse for second just before the caution came out, and that's what put him in position to get this race lead. Side by side, the fight for second. Kevin Harvick down low, teammate Eric Almirola on the top side.
A lot of 2x2 racing down in the backstretch here as we watch Larson lead the field. Very tight up front. Almirola trying to move to the outside here off turn 4. Harvick down on the bottom.
We have a huge pack of cars rumbling out of turn 4. Larson's up front, then Almirola, side by side Harvick and Hamlin, then side by side Kurt Busch and his brother Kyle.
Making a big move to the outside is the sick one. That, of course, is Brad Keselowski. He's working that top. He's just getting around Martin Truex Jr. Off turn 2, Kyle Larson continues with the race lead.
First 6 cars now in line down the backstretch, out next to the wall. Larson pulls the train, bottom of the racetrack, takes that left front tire right down on that yellow line. Car moves up the racetrack a little bit, and Amarola is working hard against Hamlin.
Kyle Larson leads him back to the stripe. The battle will be for second. It's Denny Hamlin putting the heat on Eric Almirola.
At the start of the race, Almirola built about a 3-second advantage and maintained it. Now he finds himself chasing Kyle Larson for the race lead. Third is Hamlin. Fourth is Harvick. Right behind them, they start to stack up. Stenhouse trying to get around Kurt Busch.
Behind Harvick, there you see Kurt Busch. Behind him, Stenhouse, who led a lot before that caution. Now Brad Keselowski trying to dial himself up underneath Kyle Busch as they race off 4.
Keselowski will get the spot, and just behind him, Kyle Busch goes up the racetrack, nearly gets into the fence. Truex will move by. Behind them, side by side, it's Boyer and Newman.
Well, but Kyle Busch caught his breath there for just a moment as he almost got to the outside wall. So this time in 1 and 2, he'll go all the way to the bottom and chase his teammate, Martin Truex Jr. Lead still belongs to Larson.
Side by side, the battle now, Stenhouse and Kurt Busch. Throw Brad Keselowski in the middle of that one. That's hotly contested going into turn 3. Keselowski all the way up to the top of the racetrack. Kurt Busch up there with him as well.
That's a fight for 6. It's now a 4-way battle. Right now, Stenhouse owns that spot. Then it's going to be Kurt Busch. Keselowski getting into the fight. Here's Martin Truex Jr.
Single file, 4 cars deep. That's about 3 car lengths of separation between them. Then things starting to tighten up. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to the bottom. He operates in 5th. 6th is Kurt Busch. Right behind him and on his bumper is Keselowski.
Yeah, then it's Martin Truex Jr. down the backstretch. Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney down to the bottom of the racetrack, followed by Clint Boyer. All of those cars now working off 4.
Let's get a quick update from Doug Turnbull.
First off, I looked at the tires of both the Ricky Stenhouse pit and David Reagan, and they had a little bit of cord showing on their right front. So teams are looking hard at tire wear. Stenhouse, who was running second for most of that first 35-lap run, had an air pressure and a track bar adjustment to battle a tight condition. Also, Jimmy Johnson, as you know, lost about 13 spots under that 35-lap run, and they made major wedge and track bar adjustments there along with air pressure to battle a tight condition on car 48. Wendy Venturini.
I covered Kyle Larson's pit stop, but what I wanted to follow up on was the tire wear. Also on the 42 of Kyle Larson, indicated that the right front had some wear on that tire. Keep in mind, Kyle Larson is a rim rider. He loves that top lane, and he likes to stick his car right up there against that wall. Unfortunately, it did give some tire wear on that right front. Also, Kevin Harvick, big mover in this race. He qualified 18th. He had raced his way up to the 7th spot when he hit pit road, and then his pit crew followed up and backed it up with a solid stop. They gained 4 spots on pit road with that 4-tire stop. He restarted it in the 3rd position and now is currently in 4th for Kevin Harvick. Brad Gill